need to write this down before I lose my mind completely. 3 days before I was supposed to walk down the aisle, my fiancé Marcus ended our engagement. Just like that. 5 years together, gone. The worst part? He believed a lie my sister told him. But here's what I can't admit to anyone else, the lie she told wasn't completely made up. She just changed the details. Let me start at the beginning, because I owe myself the truth even if I can't tell anyone else. Marcus proposed to me 14 months ago on a beach in Cape Cod. It was perfect. He was perfect. Steady job as a civil engineer, kind to everyone, loved my family more than his own. My parents adored him. My friends were jealous in that happy way where they joke about finding their own Marcus. My sister Vanessa was my maid of honor. We've been close our whole lives, only 2 years apart. She helped me pick my dress, threw me a beautiful bridal shower, stayed up late addressing invitations with me. I trusted her with everything. The problem started 6 months ago at my friend Rachel's birthday party. Marcus couldn't come because he was traveling for work, inspecting a bridge project upstate. I almost didn't go either, but Vanessa convinced me. You need a girls' night, she said. You've been so stressed with wedding planning. She was right. I had been stressed. Marcus and I had been arguing about small things that felt big at the time. Whether to have a DJ or a band. Whether to invite his cousin who'd gotten drunk at every family event. Whether we could afford the honeymoon in Greece or should do something cheaper. At the party, I drank too much Prosecco. That's not an excuse, just a fact. I was dancing with Vanessa and Rachel when this guy approached me. His name was Kyle. He was a friend of Rachel's boyfriend, in town for the weekend. Tall, athletic, the kind of smile that knows it works on people. He started talking to me. Harmless conversation at first. What I did for work, marketing coordinator for a nonprofit. Where I was from. Then he asked if I was single. I should have walked away right then. I should have said, I'm engaged, actually, and found Vanessa. But I didn't. The attention felt good. It felt like something I'd forgotten existed. So I just smiled and said, it's complicated. Those 2 words changed everything. We talked for maybe 20 minutes. He bought me another drink. We laughed about something, I don't even remember what. Then he leaned in close and said, you're too beautiful to look this sad. My heart was pounding. I felt this horrible, thrilling rush of excitement I hadn't felt with Marcus in months. Not because Marcus wasn't good to me, but because everything with us had become so planned, so predictable. This felt dangerous. This felt alive. When Kyle suggested we go outside for some air, I said yes. We went to the back patio of the bar. It was dark, just string lights and the sound of traffic from the street. We talked for a few more minutes, standing too close. Then he kissed me. I kissed him back. It lasted maybe 10 seconds before I pulled away, horrified at myself. I can't, I said. I'm engaged. I'm getting married in 6 months. Kyle backed off immediately, hands up. Hey, no problem. Sorry, I misread things. But I hadn't misread things. I'd led him on. I'd wanted that kiss even though I loved Marcus. I'd wanted to feel wanted in a way that had nothing to do with wedding registries and seating charts. I went back inside, found Vanessa, and told her I was leaving. She could tell something was wrong but I brushed it off, said I'd had too much to drink and needed to get home. She put me in an Uber and texted me 3 times to make sure I got back safely. I didn't tell her what happened. I didn't tell anyone. For weeks, I convinced myself it didn't matter. It was just a kiss. A stupid, meaningless mistake. Marcus never had to know. It would hurt him for no reason, and it's not like I was going to see Kyle again. Rachel's boyfriend was just a casual friend. Kyle lived in another state. It was over before it started. But guilt is a living thing. It grows. I started being shorter with Marcus, more critical. I picked fights about nothing because part of me wanted him to be less perfect, to give me a reason for what I'd done. I stopped wanting to be intimate with him. When he tried to initiate, I'd claim I was tired or stressed about work. He started asking if I was okay. If I was having second thoughts about the wedding. I told him everything was fine, I was just overwhelmed with planning. 2 months before the wedding, Vanessa came over for wine and wedding talk. We were going over final details, confirming numbers with the caterer, when she asked me point blank, "Are you sure you want to marry him?" The question hit me like cold water. What? Of course I do. Why would you ask that? She wouldn't look at me. You just seem different lately. Distant. Like you're going through the motions. I almost told her then. Almost confessed about Kyle, about the kiss, about how I couldn't stop thinking about how good it felt to be seen as just myself, not as Marcus's fiancé or someone's future wife. But I was too afraid. Vanessa had always been the good daughter, the responsible one. She'd been with the same boyfriend, Derek, for 7 years. She wouldn't understand. So I lied. I'm fine. Just stressed. You know how it is. She didn't push it, but I could tell she didn't believe me. The week before the wedding, everything accelerated. My parents arrived from out of state. Marcus's family came in from 3 different states. The rehearsal dinner was scheduled for Friday night, wedding on Saturday afternoon. I had final dress fittings, last-minute vendor confirmations, 100 tiny decisions that felt enormous. Marcus kept trying to get me alone, to really talk. Once we're married, things will calm down, he promised. We'll have our honeymoon, just the 2 of us, and everything will feel right again. But I couldn't shake this feeling that I was making a terrible mistake. Not because Marcus wasn't a good man, but because I wasn't a good woman. I didn't deserve him. And some dark part of me resented him for being so completely devoted to someone who'd betrayed him without him even knowing it. Wednesday morning, 3 days before the wedding, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Marcus. My stomach dropped. Something was wrong. I called him back immediately. His voice was flat, empty. We need to talk. In person. What's wrong? What happened? Just come over. Now. I drove to his apartment in a panic. Had someone died? Was there a problem with the venue? My mind went everywhere except where it should have gone. When I got there, he was sitting on his couch, staring at nothing. He wouldn't hug me when I came in. Wouldn't look at me. Marcus, you're scaring me. What's going on? He finally looked up, and his eyes were destroyed. Red-rimmed, exhausted. Vanessa called me this morning. My blood went cold. She told me you've been cheating on me. Throughout our entire relationship. She said she's known for months but couldn't keep lying to me anymore. She said I deserved to know before I married you. The room tilted. That's not true. Marcus, that's not true. She had proof, he said quietly. Screenshots of texts between you and some guy named Kyle. Messages about meeting up, about how you wished you'd left me for him. About how you're only marrying me because I'm stable and safe. My mind was racing. Kyle. She knew about Kyle. But how? I never told her. Had Rachel said something? Had someone seen us? Those aren't real, I said desperately. Marcus, I don't know what she showed you, but those aren't real. I'm not cheating on you. I would never. She showed me the texts right from your phone, he interrupted. She said you left it unlocked at the bridal shower. She was worried, so she looked. She found messages going back months. My hands were shaking. My phone? Marcus, I don't have any messages like that. Check my phone right now. There's nothing. I don't want to check your phone, he said, and his voice cracked. I don't want any of this to be real. But Vanessa had no reason to lie. She loves you. She's your sister. Why would she make this up? I couldn't answer that. Because I didn't know. We fought for 4 hours. I begged him to believe me, to let me show him my phone, to understand that whatever Vanessa had shown him was fabricated. But every time I said it was a lie, he'd bring up some detail that she'd told him. Details that were just close enough to the truth to make me stumble. She said you kissed someone at Rachel's party, he said at one point. She said she saw it happen but you begged her not to tell me. And there it was. The kernel of truth wrapped in a shell of lies. I could have told him then. Could have admitted that yes, I kissed someone, once, and I regretted it immediately and it meant nothing. But I was so panicked, so terrified, that I just kept denying everything. That's not true. She's lying. I don't know why she's doing this, but she's lying. Finally, Marcus stood up. His face was empty. I can't marry you. I'm sorry. I thought I knew you. I thought we were building a life together. But I don't know you at all. Marcus, please. You need to leave. I tried to grab his hand, but he pulled away like I'd burned him. Everything's already paid for, I said stupidly, like that mattered. The venue, the flowers, the photographer. I don't care, he said. I'll lose the deposits. I'll lose everything. It's better than marrying someone who doesn't love me enough to be faithful. I do love you, I sobbed. I love you so much. Please don't do this. But he was done. I could see it in his eyes. Whatever Reed had was gone, killed by my sister's lies and my own stupid, selfish choices 6 months ago. I left his apartment and sat in my car for an hour, crying so hard I couldn't see. Then I drove straight to Vanessa's house. She answered the door in yoga pants and a sweatshirt, coffee mug in hand, like it was any normal Wednesday. "Why?" I said. "Why would you do this to me?" She didn't even pretend not to know what I was talking about. "Because you don't deserve him." "What are you talking about?" She stepped aside to let me in, and I followed her into her kitchen. Derek wasn't home. It was just us. "I saw you," she said calmly. "At Rachel's party. I saw you kissing that guy outside. I watched you betray Marcus, and then I watched you come back inside and pretend nothing happened. You got in that Uber and went home to sleep in the bed you share with a man who loves you, and you never told him. Vanessa, it was one mistake. One mistake you were never going to own up to," she snapped. "You were going to marry him and let him spend the rest of his life with someone who lies to him. Someone who doesn't respect him enough to be honest. So you made up fake texts? You fabricated evidence? Vanessa, that's insane." She shrugged, and I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Something cold. "I did what I had to do. Marcus deserves better than you. He deserves someone who won't cheat on him the second he's out of town." "I didn't cheat. It was one kiss, and I stopped it." "But you didn't tell him," she said quietly. "You were going to marry him and carry that secret forever. That's worse than cheating. That's living a lie." I stared at my sister, this person I'd trusted my entire life, and realized I didn't know her at all. "You destroyed my life because of one mistake?" "No," she said. "You destroyed your own life when you kissed Kyle. I just made sure Marcus knew who he was really marrying." I wanted to scream, to throw something, to hurt her the way she'd hurt me. But all I could manage was, he'll never believe me now. Even if I tell him the truth about what really happened, he'll think I'm just trying to cover up the fake texts. "You made sure of that." She didn't say anything. Just sipped her coffee and looked at me with something that might have been pity. "I'm telling Mom and Dad," I said. "I'm telling everyone what you did." "Go ahead," she said. "Tell them their daughter cheated on her fiancé. Tell them you lied about it for months. Tell them I was trying to protect Marcus. See who they believe." She was right. She'd positioned herself perfectly. The concerned sister who couldn't stand by and watch her sibling hurt a good man. Even if I exposed her fake texts, I'd still have to admit what I'd done. And compared to that one kiss, her lies seemed almost justified. I left without another word. That was Wednesday. Today is Friday. The rehearsal dinner would have been tonight. Tomorrow, I was supposed to be getting married. Instead, I'm sitting alone in my apartment, explaining to confused family members that the wedding is canceled. Marcus won't take my calls. His family has blocked me on everything. My parents are devastated and keep asking what happened. I can't bring myself to tell them the whole truth. I called Rachel and asked how Vanessa knew about Kyle. She admitted she'd mentioned it to her boyfriend, who must have mentioned it to Vanessa somehow. "I thought she knew," Rachel said apologetically. "I thought you'd told her." "I never thought she'd." She didn't finish the sentence. "I'm looking at my wedding dress hanging in my closet right now. I spent months finding the perfect one. I'll never wear it. I lost Marcus because I made a stupid, selfish choice at a party. I lost my sister because she decided her version of justice mattered more than my happiness. And I'm realizing now that I lost myself months ago when I chose to keep that secret instead of being brave enough to face the consequences. Everyone keeps asking me what I'm going to do, how I'm going to fix this. But there's nothing to fix. It's done. It's over. I ruined everything by thinking one moment of weakness didn't count if no one else knew about it. The weekend of my wedding that never happened was the longest of my life. I couldn't leave my apartment. Couldn't face anyone. My phone wouldn't stop ringing with family members demanding explanations, friends asking what was going on, vendors wondering about payments. I turned my phone off Saturday morning. The exact time I was supposed to be getting ready, surrounded by bridesmaids, drinking champagne and taking pictures. Instead, I was alone in sweatpants, eating cereal straight from the box and staring at the wall. My mom showed up around noon. She'd driven 3 hours from home and used her spare key to let herself in. I heard the door open and couldn't even get up to greet her. She found me on the couch, didn't say anything at first, just sat down next to me and pulled me into her arms. I started crying again, which I didn't think was possible because I thought I'd run out of tears. "Tell me what happened," she said quietly. "The real story. Not the pieces I'm getting from everyone else." So I told her. All of it. Rachel's party, the kiss with Kyle, my guilt, Vanessa, seeing it happen. The fake text she'd shown Marcus, her cold justification for destroying my wedding. My own choice to hide what I'd done instead of being honest. Mom listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. "Did you love Marcus?" she finally asked. "Yes. I still do." "Then why did you kiss that other man?" I'd been asking myself the same question for months. I don't know. Because I felt invisible? Because everything with Marcus had become about the wedding instead of about us? Because some stupid part of me wanted to feel like I was still my own person, not just someone's future wife? "None of those are reasons," Mom said gently. "Those are excuses." She was right, and hearing it out loud made it worse. I know I messed up. But Vanessa didn't have to lie to him. She could have confronted me, made me tell Marcus myself. Instead, she fabricated evidence and made it sound like I'd been carrying on an affair for months. She made sure he'd never believe my side of the story. Mom sighed. "Your sister has always been black and white about things. Remember when she stopped speaking to your cousin Emma for a year because Emma lied about something small? Vanessa doesn't understand gray areas. To her, you betrayed Marcus, so you deserve to lose him." "But she's my sister," I said, my voice breaking. "She's supposed to be on my side." "She thought she was on Marcus's side," Mom said. "That doesn't make what she did right, but I don't think she was trying to hurt you. I think she was trying to save him." That made it worse somehow. That Vanessa had destroyed my life out of some twisted sense of morality, not out of malice. "Have you talked to Marcus since Wednesday?" Mom asked. "He won't answer my calls. Won't respond to texts. I tried going to his apartment yesterday and he wasn't there. I think he's staying with his brother." "Give him time," she said, but her voice suggested she didn't believe time would fix this. "What if I can't fix it? What if this is just over?" Mom held my hand. "Then you learn to live with it. You made a choice, sweetheart. A bad one. And sometimes bad choices have permanent consequences. But you're still breathing, still here. You have to figure out who you're after this." I didn't want to be who I was after this. I wanted to go back to 6 months ago and make different choices. I wanted to have been brave enough to walk away from Kyle the second he started flirting. Or brave enough to tell Marcus the truth the next day instead of letting guilt poison everything. Mom stayed with me through the weekend. She fielded calls from relatives, dealt with vendors, helped me figure out what could be canceled and what was already lost. We'd lose almost $20,000 in deposits. The venue, the caterer, the photographer. My dress was non-refundable. The honeymoon was already paid for. "You could still go to Greece," Mom suggested at one point. "Take a friend. Get away for a while." The thought of going on my honeymoon alone made me want to throw up. Sunday evening, Derek called. Vanessa's boyfriend. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "I heard what happened," he said. "I'm so sorry." "Did Vanessa tell you what she did?" Long pause. "She told me her version. That she couldn't stand by and watch you hurt Marcus." "Her version included fabricating text messages and evidence that didn't exist," I said flatly. "She didn't just expose what I did. She invented an entire affair." Another pause. I asked her about that. She said she had to make sure Marcus would believe her. That if she just told him about the kiss, you'd find a way to explain it away. So she lied to protect Marcus from my lie? I laughed bitterly. "Do you see how insane that is?" "I'm not defending what she did," Derek said carefully. "But I've been with Vanessa for 7 years. She doesn't do things halfway. Once she decides something is right, she commits completely. When she saw you with that guy, she decided you were going to hurt Marcus. She couldn't let that happen." "I was going to hurt him anyway," I admitted. "Even if the wedding had gone through, that guilt would have eaten me alive. Eventually, I would have confessed or sabotaged things in some other way. But at least it would have been honest. At least Marcus would have known the real story." "Would he have believed you without proof?" Derek asked quietly. "Or would he have assumed you were minimizing, that it was more than one kiss?" I hated that he had a point. At least I would have had a chance to explain. To apologize. To let him decide if he could forgive me. Vanessa took that choice away from both of us. "I know," Derek said. "I told her she went too far. We've been fighting about it all weekend. She thinks she did the right thing. I think she destroyed 2 people because she couldn't stay in her lane." "Are you going to break up with her?" I asked, suddenly curious if this would cost Vanessa anything. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I love her, but I don't like who she became when she decided to play judge and jury with your life." She won't even admit she might have been wrong. After we hung up, I felt even more hollow. Vanessa had blown up my life and couldn't even acknowledge the damage she'd caused. Monday came. I had to go back to work. I'd taken the week off for my wedding and honeymoon, but now I had nothing to do except sit in my apartment and spiral. At least work would be a distraction. It wasn't. Everyone knew about the cancelled wedding. My co-workers didn't know what to say to me. Some avoided eye contact. Others offered awkward condolences like someone had died. I guess something had. At lunch, my colleague Jennifer pulled me aside. "I heard your sister sabotaged your wedding," she said bluntly. "Is that true?" Word had spread faster than I'd thought possible. "It's complicated," I said. "My sister did something similar to me once," Jennifer said. "Different circumstances, but same betrayal. I haven't spoken to her in 4 years. Some relationships don't survive that kind of damage." "Did you ever forgive her?" "No," Jennifer said simply. "She never apologized. She still thinks she was right. And honestly, I'm happier without her in my life. Sometimes cutting out family is the healthiest choice you can make." The thought of never speaking to Vanessa again made me feel sick. But so did the thought of forgiving her. That week dragged by in a fog. I existed but didn't live. Went through motions but felt nothing. My apartment still had wedding presents people had sent early. Boxes from my registry, wrapped in white paper and ribbons. I couldn't bring myself to open them or send them back. Friday afternoon, exactly 1 week after Marcus ended things, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw him standing there. My heart stopped. I opened the door immediately. He looked terrible. Exhausted, like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red-rimmed. "Can I come in?" I nodded, stepped aside, tried to control my shaking hands. We sat on opposite ends of my couch. The same couch where we'd watched movies every Friday night for years. Where we'd planned our future, talked about buying a house, about maybe having kids someday. "I talked to Rachel," he said without preamble. "She told me what really happened at that party. About Kyle." Hope flared in my chest. "Marcus." He held up his hand. "Let me finish. She told me it was one kiss. That you stopped it. That you regretted it immediately. She said Vanessa must have seen it happen and taken it further than it needed to go." "That's exactly what happened," I said desperately. "I made a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. But it was one kiss, and I hated myself for it immediately. There was no affair, no ongoing relationship, no texts. Vanessa made all of that up." "I know," he said quietly. "I figured that out after I talked to Rachel. Then I talked to your mom. Then I talked to Vanessa." "You talked to Vanessa?" "I called her Wednesday. Asked her to explain exactly what she saw, what proof she had. She couldn't show me the texts again because they never existed on your actual phone. She admitted she embellished. To make sure I understood how serious it was." "She lied," I corrected. "She didn't embellish. She invented evidence to destroy our relationship." "I know," he said again. His voice was so flat, so defeated. "And I'm angry at her for that. But I'm also angry at you." The words hit like a slap. "I know. I'm sorry. Marcus, I'm so sorry." "You lied to me for 6 months," he interrupted. "You kissed another man and then came home and pretended everything was fine. You let me plan a wedding, let me tell people how lucky I was, let me imagine our future together, and the whole time you were carrying this secret. You were going to marry me without ever telling me." "I was wrong," I whispered. "I was scared and ashamed and I didn't know how to tell you without losing you. But I should have been honest from the beginning." "Yeah," he said. "You should have." We sat in silence. I wanted to reach for him, but I didn't dare. "The thing is," he continued, "I might have forgiven you. If you told me right away, if you'd been honest, I would have been hurt and angry, but we could have worked through it. But you lied for 6 months. And that makes me question everything. Every time you said you loved me, every time we made plans, I'm wondering if you meant it. Or if part of you was always looking for something better." "I wasn't," I said through tears. "I love you. I've always loved you. That kiss didn't mean anything except that I was confused and stressed and made a horrible choice in a moment of weakness. But you kept it from me," he said. "That's what I can't get past. Not the kiss itself, but the months of lying. Of watching you pull away and not understanding why. Of thinking maybe I was the problem when all along it was guilt eating at you." He was right. About all of it. "I came here to tell you that I can't do this anymore," he said, and my heart shattered all over again. Not because of what Vanessa did, and not even really because you kissed Kyle. But because you showed me that when things get hard, you hide instead of being honest. And I can't build a life with someone I can't trust to tell me the truth. Please, I begged. Please don't give up on us. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. I'll spend the rest of my life proving to you that you can trust me. He stood up. I believe you would try. But I don't think I could ever stop wondering. Every time you came home late from work, every time you went out with friends, every time you seemed distant, I'd question it. That's not a marriage. That's a prison for both of us. I stood too, grabbed his arm. Marcus, I love you. I know, he said, and his voice cracked for the first time. I love you too. That's what makes this so hard. But love isn't enough when trust is gone. He pulled his arm away gently, walked to my door, then turned back. For what it's worth, I'm sorry about Vanessa. What she did was cruel. You didn't deserve that, no matter what mistakes you made. But it doesn't change the fact that we're done. Then he laughed, and I stood in my empty apartment listening to his footsteps fade down the hallway. He was gone. Really, truly gone this time. I called my mom sobbing. He came to talk. He knows the truth about what Vanessa did. But it doesn't matter. He's still leaving me. Because of the kiss? Mom asked. Because I lied about it for 6 months. Because I showed him he can't trust me. Mom didn't try to make me feel better this time. Just listen while I cried. The next few weeks were a blur of grief. I went to work, came home, stared at walls. Stopped eating properly. Stopped caring about anything. My friends tried to reach out, but I pushed them away. What was the point? Everything I had was gone. Rachel apologized a dozen times for mentioning Kyle to her boyfriend. I never thought it would get back to Vanessa, she kept saying. I never thought she'd use it like that. I told her it wasn't her fault. And it wasn't. This was on me for making that choice at the party. On Vanessa for taking it nuclear. On both of us for destroying something good. I started seeing a therapist in November. I couldn't afford it, but I also couldn't afford to keep spiraling. My first session, I just cried for 50 minutes while my therapist, Dr. Chen, handed me tissues and waited. Tell me what you want to get out of therapy, she said finally. I want to go back in time and undo everything, I said. That's not possible. What do you actually want? I thought about it. I want to understand why I made such a stupid choice. I want to stop hating myself. I want to figure out how to live with what I've lost. Those are good goals, Dr. Chen said. But they're going to require you to be honest with yourself in ways you haven't been. Can you do that? I nodded, even though I wasn't sure. Over the next few months, therapy slowly helped me see things more clearly. I'd kissed Kyle not because Marcus wasn't enough, but because I was terrified of commitment. Of becoming someone's wife instead of my own person. Of losing my identity to a relationship. So you sabotaged it before it could consume you, Dr. Chen suggested. But I didn't want to sabotage it, I argued. I wanted to marry him. Part of you did, she agreed. But another part of you was screaming for an escape hatch. That's what Kyle represented. Not a better option, but proof that you were still attractive to other people, still autonomous, still able to make choices that were just yours. It made a horrible kind of sense. What Vanessa did was wrong, Dr. Chen continued. Fabricating evidence crossed a serious line. But the truth is, your relationship with Marcus was already damaged. You were already pulling away. The wedding might have happened, but would the marriage have survived? I wanted to say yes. But I wasn't sure anymore. Christmas came. My family gathering was tense and fractured. Vanessa was there with Derek, acting like nothing had happened. I'd barely spoken to her since the wedding fell apart. I tried to avoid her, but Mom forced us into the same room after dinner. You two need to work this out, she said firmly. Vanessa looked at me with no apology in her eyes. I'm not sorry for telling Marcus. You were going to hurt him. You didn't tell Marcus, I shot back. You showed him fake evidence and made him believe I'd been having an affair for months. That's not the same thing. I had to make sure he'd believe me, she said stubbornly. You would have lied your way out of it otherwise. You don't know that. You took away my chance to be honest, to face the consequences of my own actions. You made yourself the villain in my story when all you had to do was tell me to come clean myself. Would you have? She challenged. If I'd confronted you that night, told you I saw what happened, would you have told Marcus the next day? I wanted to say yes. But we both knew the answer was probably no. That doesn't justify what you did, I said finally. You don't get to play God with other people's lives just because you think you know what's right. And you don't get to play victim when you created this entire situation, she countered. We stared at each other across an impossible divide. Mom had been wrong. This wasn't something we could work out. The damage was too deep, the betrayal too complete on both sides. I left early. Spent Christmas alone in my apartment, scrolling through old photos of Marcus and me. His social media showed he'd gone home to his family. I wondered if he thought about me, or if he'd already started moving on. New Year's came and went. I made no resolutions except to survive. January, I started seeing someone from work. His name was Adam. It wasn't serious, just casual dates, but my friends seemed relieved I was getting back out there. The truth was, I felt nothing. Adam was nice enough, but every time he laughed I heard Marcus's laugh. Every time he reached for my hand I remembered Marcus's hands. I was using Adam as a band-aid for a wound that wouldn't heal. I knew it wasn't fair to him, but I did it anyway because being alone with my thoughts was worse. February, Rachel told me she'd seen Marcus at a coffee shop. He asked about you, she said carefully. Wanted to know if you were okay. What did you tell him? That you were doing as well as could be expected. That you were seeing someone new. I don't know why that detail stung, but it did. Like I'd betrayed him all over again by trying to move on. He didn't seem happy to hear it, Rachel admitted. But he didn't say anything else. I ended things with Adam the next week. He took it well, said he'd known I wasn't really present in our relationship. You're still in love with someone else, he observed. That's okay. Just don't drag the next guy along until you've dealt with it. He was right. I was still in love with Marcus. Maybe I always would be. March brought the first anniversary of when Marcus proposed. I spent it alone, looking at the engagement ring I still wore on a chain around my neck. I couldn't bring myself to take it off completely, but I also couldn't wear it on my finger anymore. Dr. Chen asked me what I'd learned from all this. After months of therapy, what had changed? I learned that one choice can destroy everything, I said. That keeping secrets is sometimes worse than the secret itself. That my sister values her own moral code more than our relationship. That the man I loved couldn't forgive me for lying to him, even though he might have forgiven the actual mistake. And what are you going to do with those lessons? I didn't have an answer. The truth is, I'm not sure I've learned anything except how to live with loss. How to wake up every day in a life I destroyed. How to pretend I'm fine when I'm hollow inside. People keep telling me time heals all wounds. But it's been almost a year now, and the wound feels just as fresh as the day Marcus walked out of my apartment. I still see wedding announcements from friends and feel sick. Still avoid the part of town where our venue was. Still can't listen to the songs we'd picked for our first dance. I ran into Marcus's brother at the grocery store last month. He saw me before I could hide, and the look on his face was pure pity. He didn't approach me. Just gave a small nod and walked away. That's what my life has become. Being pitied by people who used to think I was lucky. Vanessa sent me a text in April, I miss you. I stared at it for an hour before deleting it without responding. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her. Part of me understands why she did what she did. But understanding doesn't erase the damage. Some days I wonder what would have happened if I'd just been honest from the start. If I'd called Marcus the morning after Rachel's party and said, I need to tell you something that's going to hurt. Would we have survived it? Would we be married now, working through it together? Other days I wonder if Vanessa was right. If Marcus and I were doomed anyway because I wasn't brave enough to be the partner he deserved. Most days, I just wonder if I'll ever feel whole again. The answer, I'm learning, is probably not. You don't recover from losing everything because of your own choices. You just learn to carry it. It's been 18 months since Marcus called off our wedding. I'm writing this from a new apartment across town. I couldn't stay in the old place anymore. Too many memories in every corner. The couch where we planned our future. The kitchen where he'd make breakfast on Sunday mornings. The bedroom where I'd lie awake at night, suffocated by guilt. Moving didn't help as much as I thought it would. Turns out you can't leave yourself behind. Dr. Chen says I'm making progress. I'm not sure I believe her. Progress would mean I'm moving forward, but I feel like I'm just treading water. Staying afloat, but not actually going anywhere. Work has been my only constant. I threw myself into it after everything fell apart. Got a promotion in March, which felt hollow because there was no one to celebrate with. Marcus would have taken me out to dinner, ordered champagne, told everyone at the restaurant that his fiancé just got promoted. That version of my life doesn't exist anymore. My new coworker, Stephanie, asked me out for drinks last week. We've been working together for 6 months, but this was the first time she'd invited me to do anything social. I almost said no. I've gotten good at saying no to things that require me to pretend I'm okay. But something made me say yes. At the bar, after 2 glasses of wine, she said, "Can I ask you something personal?" I braced myself. "Sure." "You always seem so contained. Like you're keeping everything locked up tight. What happened to you?" I could have deflected, made a joke, changed the subject. Instead, for the first time since everything fell apart, I told someone the whole story. Someone who didn't know Marcus, didn't know Vanessa, didn't have a stake in any of it. Stephanie listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "That's heavy," she said finally. "I'm sorry you went through that. Most people say I deserved it," I admitted. "That I got what was coming to me for cheating." "Did you, though? Cheat?" She tilted her head. "From what you just told me, you kissed someone once and stopped it. That's a mistake, not an affair. Your sister made it sound like something it wasn't. But I still lied about it for months." "Yeah, you did. That was wrong. But your sister fabricating evidence? That's psychotic. And your ex choosing to believe manufactured screenshots over the person he was supposed to marry? That says something about your relationship too. I'd never thought about it that way." "What do you mean? If Marcus really trusted you, really knew you, wouldn't he have questioned those texts? Asked you about them before just believing your sister? It sounds like there were cracks in the foundation before you ever kissed that Kyle guy." She wasn't wrong. Marcus and I had been arguing more in the months leading up to Rachel's party. The wedding planning had revealed differences we'd ignored while dating. He wanted a traditional ceremony, I wanted something smaller. He wanted to buy a house in the suburbs, I wanted to stay in the city. He wanted kids right away, I wanted to wait. "Maybe you weren't as ready to get married as you thought," Stephanie suggested gently. "Maybe that's why you kissed Kyle. Not because you didn't love Marcus, but because some part of you knew you were about to commit to a life you weren't sure you wanted." I'd had the same thought in therapy, but hearing someone else say it made it feel more real. "That doesn't make what I did okay," I said. "No," Stephanie agreed. "But it makes it human. You're not a monster. You're just someone who made a mistake and then got caught in the worst possible way." For the first time in 18 months, I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, exactly. But maybe the beginning of something like it. We talked for another hour. About her own messy relationship history, about the impossible standards we hold women to when it comes to relationships, about how one bad choice can define you forever if you let it. When I got home that night, I pulled out my journal. Dr. Chen had suggested I start writing things down months ago, but I'd resisted. Writing it down made it permanent somehow. But that night, I wrote. "I kissed someone who wasn't Marcus because I was scared of losing myself in a marriage. I lied about it because I was a coward. Vanessa destroyed my wedding because she thought she was protecting someone she loved. Marcus left me because he couldn't trust me anymore. All of those things can be true at the same time. None of them make any of us purely good or purely bad. We're all just people making choices we think are right and causing damage anyway." It wasn't profound, but it was honest. The next week, my mom called. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Vanessa and Derek broke up." My stomach dropped. "When?" "Last month. He finally told her he couldn't be with someone who was so rigid about right and wrong. That what she did to you showed him a side of her he couldn't accept." I didn't know how to feel. Part of me was glad Vanessa was facing consequences for what she'd done. But another part of me just felt sad. She destroyed my relationship and lost her own in the process. Nobody won. "Has she tried to contact you?" Mom asked. "She texted me a few months ago." I didn't respond. "She's struggling," Mom said carefully. "I'm not asking you to forgive her or reach out. But I thought you should know." After we hung up, I stared at my phone. I could text Vanessa. Could ask how she was doing. Could maybe start to build a bridge back to some version of the relationship with my sister. I didn't. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. June came. The month Marcus and I were supposed to be celebrating our first anniversary as a married couple. Instead, I spent it working overtime on a project deadline, grateful for the distraction. My friend Rachel got engaged. She called me nervous, like she wasn't sure how I'd react. "I'm so happy for you," I told her, and I meant it. Just because my relationship failed didn't mean I wanted everyone else's to fail too. Will you come to the wedding? She asked tentatively. Of course. The wedding was beautiful. Small, intimate, everything Raquel wanted. I watched her marry her boyfriend surrounded by people who loved them, and I felt happy for her. But I also felt the absence of what I'd lost like a physical weight. At the reception, I drank too much wine. Found myself on the patio alone, breathing in the summer air and trying not to cry. You okay?